जय सिया राम, जय जय सिया राम। श्रीमद सद्गुरु सरकार की जय, लाडली लाल की जय, सियावर रामचंद्र की जय, प्यारी प्यारी अम्मा की जय।
Radhe Radhe everyone. We will just chant for a couple of more minutes, for 5 minutes. Let's keep on doing Roop Dhyan. Govind Jai Jai, Gopal Jai Jai, 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 Radha Raman Hari, Govind Jai Jai, Radha Raman Hari, Govind Jai Jai, Govind Jai Jai, Gopal 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 Jai Jai, Gopal Jai Jai, Govind Jai Jai, Govind Jai Jai, Gopal Jai Jai, Govind Jai Jai, Gopal Jai Jai, Radha Raman Hari, Govind Jai Jai, Radha Raman Hari, Govind Jai Jai, Govind Jai Jai, Gopal 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 Jai Jai, Radha Raman Hari, Govind Jai Jai, Radha Raman Hari, Govind Jai Jai, Govind Jai Jai, Gopal 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 Jai Jai, Govind Jai, Gopal Jai Jai, Govind Jai Jai, Gopal Jai Jai, Govind Jai Jai, Gopal Jai Jai, गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय जय राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय जय गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय जय गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय जय। वृंदावन बिहारी लाल की जय। श्रीमद सद्गुरु सरकार की जय। Is my voice coming out loud and clear?
Yes, it's coming perfectly.
A question was asked of Shri Maharaji. What does it mean? What does the word Avadhar Daani mean? This word has been used by Shri Maharaji to describe Radharani. Dani, Dan means charity. Dani means the charitable one, the one who gives charity. So there is an adjective, Avadhar Daani. So what does Avadhar Daani mean? Shri Maharaji answers in detail. Understand the meaning of this word because no one has ever asked me this question. What is the meaning of Avadhar Daani? Charity is of three types. One type of charity is for material benefit. One is for spiritual benefit. And then there is charity which is called Avadhar Daan. So the charity that is given with self-interest in mind, that charity you are all well familiar with because you give that kind of charity to your father, mother, your spouse, your children. You go to the marketplace, you give money, and you get the goods that you want. This is all charity, which is with a self-interest in mind. In other words, to give something with a view to gain something. This is selfish charity. This is selfish giving. All in the world, all the selfish ones, the ones who are controlled by Maya, whenever they do something for someone else, there's always a self-interest they have in their mind. There's always a feeling of reciprocation that if I do this for him, he will also do something for me in the future. Suppose your daughter is getting married and guests, they bring gifts. And those gifts are of various values. So you keep track of who gave what and how much that gift cost. So that when his daughter gets married, you will also give him a gift of that value. So this is how giving is done in the world. This is how people give in the world. Although, of course, people will say, no, I don't want anything in return. But that self-interest is hidden inside. The husband is ill, or the wife is ill. The spouse is ill. So all night long, the wife is staying awake all night long, giving medication, waking him up, having him sit down. Why is she doing all this? Because if he were to die, then her self-interest will be harmed. So she's thinking, my self-interest will not be fulfilled any longer if he were to die. So we make sacrifices, we give charity, we put ourselves we go through difficulties to give that charity, to give something, because that is with self-interest in mind. So this is one type of charity, which is with the self-interest in mind, and that is found everywhere in the world. The charity that one gives with the charity that is given with someone's spiritual benefit in mind, that is a charity that God and saints give. Because God and saints don't have any self-interest left. What else can they do? They have only Everyone has just one self-interest, and that is to attain unlimited happiness, to attain liberation from Maya. Those are the two motives why anyone does anything. So for God, there is no question of him being under the control of Maya. And as for the saint, he was at one time selfish, for he was under the control of Maya, but then he attained God realization and his self-interest came to an end. He has no more self-interest. He is no longer controlled by Maya. Now what can he do? Either he does nothing, and if he does something, he will do it for others, because there's nothing left for him to do for himself. So what can he do for himself? So this is the reason when God and saints, when they give, whether they give through their words or through their body or through their minds or through any sense organ, whatever charity they give, whatever they do it for the sake of others. It's a different matter altogether that we don't understand that, because our intellect is controlled by Maya. Hum logon ki buddhi to mayik hai. For instance, a saint says to you, I want you to give this much money to me. And your material intellect is thinking that I do the same. He's doing the same. I want money from others, and he's also asking for money. But I am asking, when we ask, we do it for our own happiness. And the saint is asking for our spiritual benefit. That is the difference. The one who doesn't understand this difference thinks that the saint is just like him. And he's also wanting money. If a saint wants anything from you, he wants it for your spiritual benefit. He's asking out of love. He's asking because he wants to grace you, so that your attachment to the world may decrease. In the Bhagavad, God has said, Yadyadishtatamam loke yachati priyamatmanah tattannivedayen mahyam tadanantyaya kalpate. 11th canto, chapter 11, verse 41. Meaning, O humans, give away the thing that you are most attached to. Whether that thing is your body or your wealth, wherever you are attached the most, give that away. Don't keep it with you. So then that attachment, that pride will leave you. Then you will look towards me, says God. You see, as long as the wealth is there, pride will also be there. The one who has lots of wealth says, I don't need anyone. I don't care for anyone. But now if he were to give that money towards God, then why would he remain proud? He will not have the millions and billions with him because he has donated that money. So when you give to God or a saint, then give with this kind of thinking that they have no selfish desire. They are accepting this only for my benefit. It's my spiritual earnings. Whatever I'm giving in charity, that is my spiritual earning. Knowledgeable ones give charity with this in mind. Whether they do it correctly or incorrectly, but they want spiritual benefit. That's why they give. When a person gives even 1 paisa, 1 cent to a beggar, he has that feeling that I want spiritual benefit. Either he thinks that if I give him this, then he will do something for me. Or he thinks if I give this, then I will gain spiritual benefit. My heart will become pure. So that's also selfishness. If you want the grace of your guru, and that's why you're giving charity, that's also selfishness. So the selfish ones give charity with self-motive, self-interest in mind. But God and saints, when they give charity, their charity is spiritual. and it's always for others, not for themselves. But also, there is a condition that they put, and that is that they will give as much, they will give back to the person according to the percentage of his surrender. They will grace according to the level of surrender of the devotee. God says, I will become yours and I will grace you in proportion to your level of surrender, to your percentage of surrender. I will give you spiritual property. I will give, but you must become surrendered. Tameva sharanam gaccha sarva bhavena bharat tat prasadat param shantim sthanam prapsyasi shashvatam. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 18, verse 62. Shri Krishna says, so it means go to him, surrender to him, and he will grace you. As your surrender, so will be his grace. The ones who are fully surrendered to God, God becomes fully responsible for them. God becomes fully responsible for the ones who surrender themselves fully to him. So, God and Guru, they grace and they give to the person looking at the level of his surrender. They don't do anything for themselves and they don't want anything from us, because whatever we have, they cannot use. What can we give them? Body? Oh, body is very dirty. It's not worth touching. It's not worthy of being touched. God would touch our body? It's like this. We don't want to touch waste matter that's laying on the ground, but our body, made of the 5 elements, is even dirtier. It's even worse than that feces, that waste matter that's laying there. And God, with a divine body, should want to touch this body of ours? It's impossible. Why would God even want to look at this body? It's not worth looking at. And our mind is even more impure, and the intellect is even more defiled. What else can we give? We will give some worldly property. We'll give something worldly. Whatever you want to give, whatever worldly things you want to give, they belong to God in the first place. Or do you think that you brought all that you have with you from your mother's womb? If you give even a little bit of water to God, that water belongs to God, because this water belongs to this earth and it belongs to God. Is it yours? No. Even your body was made. God gave you a body. God made the body within your mother's womb. Even the body is not yours. Only thing that's yours is your sins. They belong to you. You have the right to claim ownership of your sins. That's all. So God and saints, the charity they give, it's not for their self-interest. It's only for others' spiritual benefit. But the amount of grace they give is in direct proportion to our surrender. If there was no condition of surrendering to God and Guru, then everyone, all the individual souls would attain liberation from Maya. Now, if the individual is surrendered a little bit and grace comes in abundance, that is something special. Once again, if the surrender of the individual soul is very small and the grace that comes from God and Guru is tremendous, then that is very special. And that only Radha Rani does. And that is why she's called Avadhar Daani. Avadhar Daani, Radha Rani ki jai. So Avadhar Daani, what does it mean? It means one who gives an abundance of grace to the one who surrenders even a little bit to her. So I finished with the Bhag 1, part 1 of this book, Prashnotari, which means question answer. I am beginning today with part 2. This is formatted a little differently. It's just different questions, and sometimes the answers are very lengthy. I'm going to start with question number 5 over here. Ahankar kaise samapt ho? How can I get rid of my pride? How much humility do you have? This is Maharaji's answer. One person may be 100% humble, one is 50%, one is 20% humble. As long as the humility is not 100%, pride will remain. And it's very sneaky. Pride is very sneaky. So humility and pride are opposite to one another. Pride is the biggest enemy we have, and it lives within. It's hiding within everyone. Actually, there's nothing that anyone has to be proud of. For instance, someone is proud of his wealth. So the one who is the wealthiest is Kuber in the celestial abode. There is no one in the world who is so wealthy that he can even purchase one city in the world. There is no one in the world who is so wealthy that he can purchase the Delhi, capital city of India. Then why should he become proud of his wealth? What kind of wealth does he have in the first place? There was a king who went to the Saint Diogenes and he said, I would like to serve you. So the saint, Diogenes asked, what do you do? And the king said, I am a very big king and I am this, I am that. He started boasting. Diogenes said, bring me a map of the world. So the king summoned a map of the world and the saint asked, tell me, where is your country, the country that you rule? And he showed on the world map, he said, this is it, Egypt. And this is my rule. This is what I rule. And how much and how much of it do you rule? And he said, well, this much. And the same said, Diogenes said, so if in this huge, big world, the land that you rule, it's just like a little pinpoint. It's just like a little dot. And yet you're so proud that you're boasting, I am the king, I'm this, I'm that. You're not able to serve me. If you want to serve, you have to let go of your ego. You have to let go of your pride. And you are a king. You cannot let go of your pride. If you bow your head before God or a holy man, you still are thinking at the same time, look, I'm a king, and yet I'm bowing my head before him. Even there, even as you bow your head, there's pride in your heart. So it all depends on the percentage of humility that you have. True humility is when you have the power and you're not proud of it. There was a king named Ravan. He could claim the reign of Swargalok. He could go to the celestial abode and claim the rule over there. Yamraj, the god of death, was his servant of Ravan. Now, if Ravan becomes proud, then he has a right to become proud. All right, you're allowed. Because he has Indra, Varun, Kuber, Yamraj. They're all his servants. So he's almost as great as God. So if he becomes proud, he has a right. But people of the world, the ones who are proud, what do they have to be proud of? Oh, this one is a collector, this one is a commissioner, this one's a governor, this one is a multimillionaire, this one's a billionaire. That's it. That's it. That's what you're about. Your body is dirty, your mind is even more defiled, your intellect is defiled, it is impure. So whatever they have, they also know that whatever they have will not always remain with them. because even the body will not remain. So how can anything else remain theirs? You can build 1,000 mansions for yourself. God says, look, this land is mine. You go ahead and build a mansion, go ahead, decorate it. But when you leave this world, you'll go without this mansion. And even the body that I gave you, you will have to leave it behind. So there is no reason to become proud in anyone. If you think about it seriously, there's no reason for you to become proud. But pride comes when you look at someone who has less than you. That is generally how it happens. This is the philosophy in general. That you look at someone who is less beautiful, less wealthy, less knowledgeable, who has less property, then you become proud. And when you see someone who has more than you, then you become humble. There should be no problem in becoming humble before God, because there is no one greater than God. And then again, we need God. In the world, when someone needs someone, when you need something, when someone needs something, then he becomes humble even before someone who is very, very worldly. If someone has not eaten for 4 days, how does he ask for food? How much desperation there is and how much humility there is in his voice. How does he ask for water when he's thirsty? Everyone in the world, every person becomes very humble at that from time to time. If you need something and you don't have it, the other person has it, and you are not able to do without getting that thing. So you become humble in front of that person who has what you want. You'll say, oh, please give me water to drink. Please give me food to eat. Ever since we were born, we cried. We've been crying when we were hungry. We didn't know at that time who is mother, what does father mean, what does mother mean. But we became humble. We cried. This crying, the act of crying, that is what humility is all about. That is what humility is. Deenta. Ye rona hi deenta ka swaroop hai. The child, think about the child. He has no strength, nothing, and he's hungry. He can't speak. That child cannot speak. He can't even motion to his stomach to tell the mother, look, I'm hungry. But all he can do is to cry. Now, if the mother understands the reason he's crying, and she gives him milk to drink. But she may not understand that the baby may have a stomach ache, and she gives him even more milk to drink. So he becomes even worse. Because the mother is not all-knowing. She doesn't know why he's crying. Humility must be in everyone. It should naturally be in everyone. But because of ignorance, we are very fond of listening to others praise us. We have practiced like that ever since we were born. And because we feel happy when we are praised, we feel very unhappy when we are insulted. We feel bad. People even just hearing someone's words, just words. It's not like someone is slapping us. He's just speaking to us and we feel offended. Someone says, you are a fool, you are a donkey, you're shameless, you are lustful, you are greedy. These are words that's made of A, B, C, D. What else are they? Those are just words, but we feel so badly about that. People even commit suicide just by hearing words that, oh, I was insulted in this way. Someone just spoke to you, that's all. And he told you the truth. He told you that you are exactly what you really are. He didn't snatch anything from you. If you're not greedy and he told you that you're greedy, then how did that harm you? And if you are greedy and someone says you are greedy, then he spoke the truth. So no harm came to you. So why do you feel badly? That habit of taking offense is due to the lack of humility. If the knowledge of scriptures if it stays with you, if you remember the knowledge of scriptures, that as long as the individual is under the control of Maya, he will have all the faults in him. Just memorize this philosophy. Just memorize it. Lust, anger, greed, pride, envy, hatred, hypocrisy, all these faults, as long as you are under the control of Maya, you will have all these faults. So everyone should think, I am not God realized, so all these faults are within me. Now, it's a different matter altogether that we're doing, that if you're doing sadhana, then you have destroyed some of them. You have decreased the, sorry, let me just read that again. That you are doing sadhana and you have, that these faults have gone down, but they're not finished from the root. The root is there. Now, see, at this point, you're all sitting before me, you're listening to what I'm saying. At this point, none of you is lustful or angry or greedy or attached anywhere. All of you are fully concentrating on what I'm saying. But let's say I leave from here and someone just gives you a little push. Someone just pushes you and you become really angry. So my point is that you should keep philosophy of scriptures with you at all times. And when some reason comes for you to get angry, become alert immediately. There once lived a Brahmin who was very poor. He had a problem now because he had to get his daughter married and he didn't have money. So he thought, I will steal from someone. I have to get my daughter married. But who should I steal from? I will steal from the king, he decided. So the king was Raja Bhoj. And the king has so much. He's so wealthy. So he used some tricks and he managed to gain entrance to the palace. And in the dark. And he hid there. And when night fell, everyone was sleeping. He started to steal, but whatever he touched, it was made of gold and silver. And that's what the kings have, gold and silver. Whenever he extended his hand to grab something, the scriptural knowledge came back to him. The scriptural knowledge would tell him this is wrong. He was a scholar. And he knew that if I steal gold, then I will be committing this kind of sin. Because to steal gold is one of the biggest sins. Not just pap, but mahapap. Not just a sin, but the biggest sin. So if I steal this, I will be punished severely. All night long, he kept thinking, well, I have to steal. But if I do steal, then I will be punished in this way. And in thinking all this, he spent the whole night. He couldn't get out of the palace. In the morning, it was customary to wake the king up. And to wake him up, the Brahmins would recite the auspicious mantras from the Vedas. The ladies would be singing and the elephants would make trumpeting sounds. The horses would be neighing. And from all directions, you could hear Raja Ji ki jai ho, jai ho. People were praising him loudly. This is how he would wake up in the morning. This is what was going on every morning. So the king woke up. Now the Brahmin was hiding under the king's bed. He was thinking, once the king gets out and goes out of his room, then I can make some arrangement to come out too. If I just come out just like that, then I will be punished by him. So when the king was just sitting in his bed, he was laying in his bed, he was thinking very proudly, wow, how important I am. Think of how much I have. These elephants are trumpeting, horses are neighing, beautiful women are singing, and pandits are reciting auspicious verses from the Vedas. And people are praising me from all directions. I can hear my praises. And he said this in a verse. Cheto hara yuvataya suhrito nukula sadbandhava pranaya garbhagirascha bhritya valganti danti nivaha sarala sturanga. Then the Brahmin who was hiding under the bed, the king's bed, he couldn't contain himself when he heard this much. He immediately spoke the half line, the fourth one. Sammilane nayanayor nahi kinchidasti. O king, one day your eyes will close, you will die, and everything you have, everything you're so proud of, will be left right here. All the praise that you are giving to yourself, it will not remain. And the king thought, where did this voice come from? Who's here? He alarmed. He sounded the alarm, and the servants came running. The king said, listen, find out who it is in my room. They looked, and Panditji appeared from under the bed. And the king said, you? How dare you come into my room? So the whole story. And he said, O king, you may give me the death penalty. That's what more can you do? But I had come here for this reason. My daughter was getting married. I had no money. I came to steal. But all night long, I kept stealing. I kept trying to steal, but I would remember the knowledge of the scriptures, and then I would let go of that thing. I couldn't steal anything. The king felt, when he heard this, the king said, he's right. What he has said is true. I will not have anything after I die. I will not take it with me. And one day I will have to die. If not today, then tomorrow. The great rishis, munis, yogis, saints, they've had to leave the world. Then how can the king stay in this world? And this poor Brahmin, he came to steal something just to get his daughter married. The king fell at the feet of the scholar, the Brahmin, and he said, you may take the whole kingdom from me. I don't want the kingdom anymore. I will go to the jungles and I will practice devotion. Panditji said, the Brahmin said, Raja Sahab, what are you saying? I don't want your kingdom. I don't want your kingdom. I just want some gold to get my daughter married. The king said, my pride has destroyed me. So Tattva Gyan, true knowledge of scriptures, the knowledge Guru has given, the knowledge that Shastras have given, the knowledge of Shastras and the Vedas that you have received from the Guru, you forget this. You forget that knowledge. You go to the worldly atmosphere and you forget everything. And you make mistakes. And then after making mistakes, when you sit by yourself, then you think, oh, what a fool I was. Then you think that way. When someone who knows the knowledge, forgets the knowledge, then he does wrong things, then he remembers the knowledge, then he feels very repentant. He feels very contrite that, oh, I scolded my father. Oh, I was so foolish. But when he forgot the knowledge, he did it. So everyone should think, I have every fault imaginable within me. There's no one who is not faulty, who doesn't have any fault. In some people, those faults are revealed, and some people they're concealed. Some people are committing sins in their mind, and some people are committing sins in their mind, and it shows from the outside that they're committing sins. That's the only difference. And God takes note of the mind. So tell me, who is going to escape the punishment? That's the first question. Second question is question number 7 in this book. Maharaji, when I see some sadhaks, some aspiring devotees, external behavior I sometimes feel, at times I feel very, I have, I think ill of them. And that sadhak is a very highly placed sadhak. So what can I do? महाराज जी किसी साधक के बाहरी व्यवहार को देखकर कई बार दुर्भावना हो जाती है, जबकि वो उच्च साधक होता है. इसका क्या उपाय है? Answer. Everything that God possesses is unlimited. God is complete. Everything he has is unlimited. His worlds are unlimited. His names are unlimited. His forms are unlimited. His attributes are unlimited. His pastimes, his abodes, his saints are, everything he has is unlimited. And so unlimited that if you take unlimited out of unlimited, you remain with unlimited. Purnasya purnamadaya purnameva vashishyate. If you take unlimited from unlimited, you remain with unlimited. But in the world, you take everything from everything and you get zero. As long as someone is not God realized, he's not complete, Purna, then it's impossible for us to tell who is Purna, who is complete, and who is incomplete. The gopis were illiterate. Externally, they were illiterate. 4 children, some had 4 children, some had 6 children. And yet, Brahma and Shankar want the foot dust of the gopis. If you tell people that, people will say, you are very good in exaggerating. I know these gopis. I know that, yes, she got married and what happened and when in her life. These gopis are so attached to the world, and you say that Uddhav, Brahma, and Shankar, they all want foot dust? This is why you should not form an opinion about anyone. If you look at someone's faults, you will think him to be, if you see someone's faults, then you will think him to be lacking in some way or the other. You will think he's not as intelligent as myself. He's not as, good looking as myself. He's not as wealthy as myself. He's not as knowledgeable as myself. All these thoughts will come. They'll come to you. And you will be, and then you have fallen on the path. You have no idea what he has on the inside. What is inside of him, you have no idea. What kind of decision will you take by just looking at him on the outside? Who knows how much love someone has for God and Guru? Because no one has any measuring scale to measure that. How can you judge anyone by looking at them on the outside? There was a saint, just 500 years ago, during the lifetime of Gauranga Mahaprabhu, and his name was Pundarik Vidyanidhi. He was living a life of luxury. His bed was made of gold. And even kings and emperors don't have that. And he had a bed of gold. Gauranga Mahaprabhu said to his disciples one day, there's a very great devotee who has come and I must go and meet him. I will go to him. And the devotees asked Maharaji, who are you going to meet? And he said, Pundarik Vidyanidhi. Everyone was shocked. What? Pundarik? Oh, we all know. He is so worldly. He lives in the luxuries that even kings and emperors don't have. They started talking amongst each other. Mahaprabhuji smiled and left. And they all went after him to find out what the matter is. Mahaprabhuji, was he joking? Why is he going to him? Why is he going to see Pundarik? He should come to have Mahaprabhuji's darshan. So when Mahaprabhuji went to Pundarik, Pundarik looked at Mahaprabhuji, got out from his bed, from his seat, and they both embraced one another, and everyone was watching this. Then Pundarik sat on the seat, and Mahaprabhuji sat right beside him. That also everyone saw. And they thought, who is this Babaji? That he's sitting, what kind of man is this? He's sitting beside Mahaprabhuji. So there was a disciple of Gauranga, devotee of Mahaprabhuji. His name was Gadadhar Bhatt. he was more confused than anyone else. He was very, very close to Gauranga Mahaprabhu. He was a scholar also of the scriptures. Anyway, in due course of time, Mahaprabhuji returned from visiting Pundarik, and everyone else came along with him. And then they asked him in private, when nobody else was there, they asked Maharaji, why did you go to that man? And then when you went there, he was so rude that he sat on the same seat as you, and you let him sit there. Mahaprabhuji raised his eyebrows and he said, oh, so you're all-knowing now? No, Maharaj. You are all-knowing. Then why did you decide this way? Mahaprabhuji said, why did you decide this? What Pundarik is all about. Get out of my sight and go to Pundarik Vidyanidhi and surrender to him. Accept him as your guru and he will tell you the sadhana you have to do. Everyone was shocked. Mahaprabhuji was saying this very seriously. They were thinking Mahaprabhuji was joking. So then Gadadhar Bhatt had to go to Pundarik Vidyanidhi. Mahaprabhuji has said, if he forgives you, then I shall forgive you. So you must go to him, accept him as your guru, and gain forgiveness from him. And that's exactly what Gadadhar did. So who can tell? There have been kings in our country, Dhruv, Prahlad, and Ambrish. They had such luxuries that cannot even be found in Swargalok. And all of them were married and they had children. Whether it was Ambrish or Vashishta, all of them were married and they had children. We looked at them also at that time, because when they were here on earth, we were also here. And we made fun of these saints, saying, this Prahlad, people call him a saint. This is a saint? This is what a saint looks like? So whether it's a Mahapurush, a saint, or a demon, you should always have good feelings towards others, so that you will have good thoughts. Your mind will think good thoughts. The other person, it doesn't matter how he is, because he will remain the way he is. If he is a demon, he will remain a demon. If he's a saint, he'll remain a saint. But if we bring wrong feelings towards him, then we have spoiled our mind even more. Now, God had started coming into the heart, but he will see this happening and he will do an about turn and he will go back. Because God will say, you are calling others into your heart. I'm not going to live in such a place. Therefore, you should not see anybody lacking in anything. Sabahi Manaprada Apu Amani Gauranga Mahaprabhu, this is Tulsidas Ji, but he says, think of others to be higher than you, greater than you, and not yourself. The characteristic of a great devotee, of a highly placed devotee, is that he has no ill feelings towards anyone, because he thinks, I don't know who is what and how they are worshipping Lord Krishna, how they are offering their worship. Everyone has their own ways. Today, even if someone is really bad, truly bad, then why is he bad? Oh, because of his previous actions. So on the 25th of the month, that prarabdha, the destiny from due to the actions of the past, it will come to an end and he'll become good once again like before. And here we are thinking wrong of him, and we are spoiling ourselves. We are destroying ourselves spiritually by thinking such thoughts. This is why a sadhak should not look at any other sadhak. And even if he looks and the intellect starts thinking he's like this, he's like that, the sadhak must think, I don't know who is what. I'm not going to get involved in this fight. There was a rich man, and he never took the name of God. He would not ever utter the name of God. He would not ever go to the mandir. His wife was very upset with him. She would say that, oh, I've got such an atheistic husband. One night as he was going to sleep, he stretched his limbs and said, Radhe, like that. When he was in bed, he did that. The next morning, the wife had made arrangements to feed the Brahmins, and she was so happy. Her husband said, tell me, what's the special occasion? I know it's not Janmashtami or Ramnavami. Is there some other festival that takes place today? And she said, today is the biggest festival, Patidev, husband. What is that biggest day? Because last night when you were changing sides, you said Radhe. Oh, he said, the name of Radha left my heart. It went outside. It left my heart. He fell down. So there are many ways in many ways of practicing devotion, but the man's wife could not understand in so many years. I'm going to finish right here. I'll resume next time when we have our Zoom call. Srimad Sadguru Sarkar ki Jai. We're going to do Rup Dhyan now, guided meditation. You have set out on a long drive today in your car. Your passenger is none other than Lord Krishna. You are thinking that he would enjoy a long drive because you enjoy it also. It's a lazy Sunday afternoon, and you are driving Krishna, taking him on a long ride. You're driving through the countryside, and the scenery is beautiful. It seems like for miles and miles, there's nothing but greenery, beautiful trees, nature. There's a lake, and Shri Krishna tells you to stop. You park on the side. It's a very beautiful lake. Thakurji gets out of the car. He goes to the edge of the lake. All the ducks, they come swimming towards him. All the creatures are attracted by his presence. They're looking towards him. You can see that some of them are crying, shedding tears. Shri Krishna gives darshan to those creatures. and he's walking along the lake. The elements of nature wish to serve him. A cool breeze starts to blow. Not too strong, just enough. The water in the lake is so clear. Shri Krishna looks at his reflection. You can see his reflection clearly. The trees growing around the lake, suddenly they're laden with fruits. And they drop those fruits. They wish for Shri Krishna to eat those fruits. All the creatures, all the elements of nature wish to serve the Supreme Lord. Shri Krishna accepts their gifts. You're walking along with your Lord and Master and beloved best friend, Shri Krishna. He sits under a tree. And motions for you to sit down also. When you sit down, Shamsundar puts his head in your lap. He closes his eyes. He's resting. There's a very large leaf that's laying nearby. You pick that up and you start to fan him with that. And you experience the happiness that you have not known ever. Happiness that comes from serving him. And in this way, you can spend an eternity with your Lord, serving him, doing seva. श्रीमद सदगुरु सरकार की जय। प्यारे श्याम सुंदर की जय।